Hello and welcome back to Let's Play Betrayal at Krondor. In our last episode, we made our way south to the town of Quester's View, a brief stop on our way to our ultimate destination at Krondor. Let's take a look at our map. We're here in Quester's View. We have to still make our way a little bit further south to Sarth, and then we'll be on the final stretch to Krondor. Before we head further south, let's take a brief moment to make one quick stop here in the town still. Look at these. These are gravestones. And I thought we might take a moment to dig them up. If you may remember from our last episode, Locklear has a shovel. Let's take a look. Ryan Wingard. Lost at dice. Lost his temper. Lost his life. An hour passed. Covered with grime and grave mold, Gorath distastefully flung back the heavy lid of the coffin to look at its contents. Immediately he retched as a thick ammonia scent billowed up from the coffin's corrupting remains. Just a body, he gagged. Well, nothing there. What about this one? Thomas Brooke. Fought with his neighbors. Lost. Just another body. Okay, we already saw that one. Let's move a little bit to the different angle here. Hatfield Tucker. Drank his own poison. So far, we're not finding much of anything. Larston Dewey. I told you I was sick. Todor Milbo, the townsfolk strung him up. Oh, there's a bowstring. So as you can see, robbing graves can give you occasional little things. Sometimes you might find something good. Anthony Rankin fell off his high horse. Baylor Dalatail drank his milk every day. And of course, it contains Dalatail milk. Alana Roberts. Sleep, sweet, sweet sleep. Warning, the fiend beneath this stone is trapped by dirt, not by death. Stay away. The ground was too hard. This is similar to the one we found at that other house. And the last one is this one. Timothy Wayant suffers no longer. Locklear gasped. He fought back the terror rising within him as an icy wave passed through his body, hitting him in the chest with a sledgehammer blow that forced the air from his lungs. As he fought to catch his breath, he suddenly found himself under attack. Oh no, it's an angry ghost! Alright, we need to bring that ghost in close so we can attack it. Because these are very dangerous. Hopefully we're not the ones who end up in a grave. We attacked Locklear. Good hit by Gorath, but Locklear's been hit twice now. He's down to 0 stamina. I may need to heal him. Oh, he hits Locklear again. We don't want Locklear to end up in the near-death status, so let's move Owen out of the way. Hopefully we'll have a chance to heal before it attacks again. Oh, we did it. Victory. That was close. Locklear blinked. Despite the fact the creature had disappeared, he was wary to drop his guard. But a quick survey of the area revealed that it was nowhere in sight. I think it's gone, he said. Let's get moving again. Well, Gorath's melee ability has increased. That's useful. And if we search the grave now, standing waist deep in the hole, Gorath levered open the lid of the pine box with the tip of his shovel. When at last it was open, his face contorted with a look that was a mixture of relief and disappointment. That's strange, Gorath said. No body. Well, we know why. The body attacked us. So that was your introduction to... I just wanted to show you that there are ghosts in this game. There are undead, and they are terrifying. They're very powerful, and sometimes difficult to defeat, but luckily we made it out. Let's go ahead and stay at the inn so we can heal back up. Since Locklear was wounded, let's go ahead and use... an herbal pack, and then we'll stay the night. Perhaps more than one night. We're not in very good shape, so we'll stay for a second night as well. That's good. Now we're all in the black. Gorath's almost at full health. So we're none the worse for wear after all of that. Now we're free to get back to the main road and continue our quest. So In our last episode, we were here, and we fought these enemies, if you may remember, and now this is as far as we got. The road goes to the north, and then also to the south. If we check our map, this northward path will take us up and around, eventually over here to Eggley, Tenors, and these other eastern cities. And we could go this way, and there's lots of side quests and other enemies to fight and things to do. We could certainly get more money and experience doing that, but we're on a mission, and I think we really need to make our way more directly. We need to get down to Krondor as quickly as possible. So we're going to go ahead and take the southernmost fork here. All right, let's keep our eyes open for any enemies, assassins, or anything like that. A farmer was ahead of them. Debating for a moment whether it would be more prudent to hide before they were seen or to behave normally, Locklear decided that the man was probably of no immediate threat to them. "I hope for your good health that you found shelter against the coming tempest, good sirs." A tempest? "Surely you've heard. The learned monks of Sarth have predicted a terrible storm is coming this way, and I'd hate to think of anyone caught out in it. Why, a man could catch his death of the fevers. If you'd like, you may ride it out in my barn." "And what profit would you turn in this enterprise?" 5 golden sovereigns, a reasonable sum, and the guard over my cows. You can sleep in the hayloft of my barn, but my wife and I don't take in elves." 7 gold pieces, the elf stays with us, and we each get a hard roll for breakfast. 10 gold, and a lot of you milk cows the next morning. That's the offer. Take it or leave it. Well, I'd hate to get caught outside with a storm coming. That could be bad for us. So let's accept this gentleman's generous offer. Deal. Where's this barn of yours? Keep heading south. You should pass the Abbey of Ishap at Sarth. You'll know you're right close to it when you've passed up the Temple of Sung. From there, it's just around Yellow Mule Mountain. When you find the barn, you just go knock on the door and my wife will fix you up. Thank you, farmer. Your hospitality will be remembered. Okay, well, it looks like we have a place to stay. We just have to make our way to it. So let's head south. Looks like there's a road heading off here. Let's see what leads over here. Ooh, I can see what looks like a chest over there. It's a chest, all right. Let's look at it. A special lock. I know what that means. Time for another Mordhell lock puzzle. Luckily, Gorath's with us to decipher the runes. Buckets, barrels, baskets, cans. What must you fill with empty hands? Well, it's a riddle, of course, so I doubt it's as simple as something as a container you fill with hands, and our hands would have to be empty to fill it, so it's not like we're carrying something, putting it in a container. Something with 6 letters, we fill with empty hands. Well, maybe we're thinking about this wrong. Maybe we're not filling it with something in our hands. Maybe we're filling it with our hands. Maybe our hands are what fill it. What do hands fill? What do hands go inside to fill? Well, I have an idea. Could it be gloves? And that, of course, is the answer. Let's see what's inside. Oh, well, this is useful. This sword has a blessing on it. Let's take a look at that. The sword has a number 2 type blessing, 10% modifier. Well, that'll certainly help us in combat. We'll go ahead and use that. And let's also use our whetstone while we're here. We don't want to pass up these chances. We don't want to forget to keep repairing our weapons and armor. There's also a shell we can sell. More lockpicks. And a magical scroll. Scratched out on the scroll in painstakingly lucid detail was a magical spell which had been titled Skin of the Dragon. Well, let's give that to Owen. This is one of the ways you can learn new spells in the game. You read a magical scroll. Although he could have wished for better circumstances under which to study it, Owen broke the scroll's wax seal and began to read. After an hour's laboring with a difficult language, he was able to commit the incantation to memory. While the words in the parchment etched indelible patterns in his mind, the scroll grew brittle, then crumbled slowly between his fingers like sun-dried leaves. So we lose the scroll, but now we have that spell. Owen can now cast Skin of the Dragon, which I believe is a defensive spell we can use to increase our allies' defense in combat. Gorath's abilities have increased. He now is better at weapon craft, and his melee was increased from before. He's becoming quite the good weapon crafter. His armor craft's not too bad either. All right, let's head back to the road, and we'll continue on our way. There's a body there by the side of the road. Poisoned rations. That's obviously a trap. Oh, look, free food. Take it, and then you die. So there was that other path that led... I passed another road that's leading down around this mountain. I'm going to go ahead and stay on the main road this time instead of following that little side path. Looks like here's where it rejoins the road up here. They were being watched. Unsure where their observers were located, Locklear wheeled about just as a figure emerged from behind the trees. Oh my! 2 mortal warriors and a spellcaster. This is the first time we've run into an enemy spellcaster. Now, as you may remember, when enemies are up against your spellcasters, if enemies come close to Owen, he can't cast spells. Maybe we can use that knowledge to our advantage. First things first, Locklear's going to go fight this guy. He's going after Owen. Gorath's going to go right up into the spellcaster's face to keep him from casting. And he runs away. Now Gorath can, well, he can't get close enough to strike him with his sword. Let's try using the crossbow. We hit him, but then he got cast upon. Meanwhile, this enemy's fleeing. Perhaps we can stop him before he escapes. And the first enemy is down. I don't know what that spell does. Hopefully nothing too bad. He keeps hitting Gorath with this. I don't know what that does to him. Oh, the spellcaster's fleeing. We didn't even hit him once, and he just ran for it. Oh well. Let's continue looting these bodies. And of course, use our weapons and weapons crafting abilities here. The other body is behind this one. We'll give these ones to Locklear. Oh, not enough room. Let's take a look at everything here. I think that's all of the items. There we go. Perfect. Okay, that's everything. Except for Owen's stuff. Let's go ahead and get Owen's stuff repaired as well. We'll give that to Gorath to do. There we go. Locklear's armor craft increased. Very good. It's a shame we weren't able to kill that mage. He might have had some interesting items for us to collect. Oh well. Either way, let's continue on our journey southwards. I hear the road darts off to the north. Let's go ahead and see where this goes. I believe this will lead us into the town of Sarth. The path turned. After a few minutes of traveling, the roadbed began a steady rise, spiraling around the base of a sheer, rock-faced hill. Sarth, Locklear said. We probably have enough time to drop in for a brief visit, and it might break up the monotony of the road. Want to take a look around? Absolutely. Let's go head into the town. And here is Sarth. From a distance, the Abbey of Ishapit-Sarth had seemed a fortress, its sheer-walled courtyard dominated by an ancient single-story keep. But closer inspection revealed that a shop profited where once an ironmonger had forged swords. Delicate flowers bloomed where soldiers had once mustered. In the book, Sarth is described as being very defensible, being on this top of this mountain. The road, the single thin road that spirals its way up, is described as being able to be defended by a group of grandmothers with broomsticks. It's a good place to hole up and defend yourself. Let's take a look around. There's another temple, similar to the temple we found before. Locklear squinted. The wall looked strangely barren, as if a space had been prepared for a decoration which had not yet been crafted. So there's no teleportation thing here in this temple. Let's talk with the priest. The abbot came quickly. A man of advancing years, his hair and beard seemed like a snowdrift, starkly in contrast to his dark skin, which was wrinkled like carefully crafted mahogany. Shaking Locklear's hand, he greeted them as if he had known them all their lives. "Welcome to Ishap's Abbey, travelers. I am Father John. How may we be of assistance to you?" "We thought while we were passing through that we would come and visit the famous Abbey of Ishapit-Sarth," Locklear said. "You've done impressive things here." The abbot's eyes crinkled as he gave them a prideful glance. "We hope to do more. We've only begun our work here, but thanks to Brother Anthony and Brother Mark, we've come a long way." Locklear bit his lip, hesitant to ask his question. "Could we impose on your hospitality a bit? We have a few questions." "I would love to, but alas, I have services to attend at the moment. But if you have questions, Sarth is the place to come. We have books on many things, and if you seek out Brother Mark, he can help you with a good many other questions. Good day to you." Alright, well, we have no need to be cured or blessed at this point, so let's be on our way. There's also a shop. Owen ogled as he picked through the assortment of magical items which had been laid out in the improvised store. Many of the items were marked by tags which indicated they had been sent from the Academy of Magic run by Pug of Stardock. A lightning staff. We could cast lightning on our enemies with our staff. Owen could do that for 1,200 gold. Rings of Krondor are useful. You can use them to light a room if you don't have a torch. Enchanted quarrels. Those will certainly hit the target. More rations if we need them. Clerical oilcloths to bless our weapons. But this is what I'm looking for. Magical scrolls of Dragon's Breath. To spare the eyes, we already have that one. Flamecast. I'd love to get that spell, but for 400 gold, that's a little out of our price range. Even if we had 400, I can't spend all our money. Skyfire. These are all powerful. As the game progresses and we get more money, we'll have to come back and get these things. Night Fingers. Nacra Cicatrix. Skin of the Dragon we already found. Thoughts Like Clouds. While we're here, let's see if we can sell anything. Perhaps that Mordhel sword here. I don't think they'd want that. Oh, they will buy weapons. Well, then let's sell off these weapons we don't need. How about armor? Can we free up our inventory space? Very good. We have an extra crossbow we can sell. Awesome, that puts us up to 454. While we're here, I'd like to use this clerical oilcloth on Gorath's weapon. Give him a little bit of a boost on his weapon. Now it's enhanced. That might help in battle. If we get a lot more money, we'll come back and buy spells, but for now, that's it. We can also enter underneath here into the library. The shelves were overburdened. Massive books which all appeared to be older than anything Locklear could imagine. Most of the works in the section appeared to be concerned with theology or philosophy. Not as well versed in the history of the gods as he would like, he reached for a less intimidating looking volume and began to read. Just a few pages into the text, Locklear realized it was yet another book of dogma, though its author put a few new spins on religious theory he'd been unaware of. After flipping through a chapter, he replaced the tome where he had found it. Perhaps there's a more informative book on this shelf, he thought. A supernatural silence reigned in the vaults under Sarth. A perfect stillness which was unbroken even when a priest would accidentally let fall a book while searching the shelves, or when someone would sneeze while opening a dusty volume. It was as if time itself had been frozen here, trapped between the wooden cases like pages within a book. Let's keep looking. Thankfully, the contents of the book on Sung, god of purity and healing, were relatively light and easy to read, though it had told him little he didn't already know about the Temple of Sung and its tenets. Before closing it, he did take special heed of the fact that it implied that the Temple of Sung offered more extensive healing powers than those offered by any other temple. See, these books give us little tips and tricks as things we can learn about the game. Let's keep looking here. Okay, let's look over in this group. Gorath smiled. Pleased to find something in the vaults which appealed to his interests, he thumbed through a book which apparently had something to do with combat techniques. Beginning as a basic soldier's text, it seemed there would be little value to be found in the book, but moments before he closed it, he stumbled across a treasure house of information in the last chapter. This last chapter is reserved for the most well-prepared of soldiers who are also familiar with the enemies they are to face on the battlefield. With an adequate amount of information before a battle, it is entirely possible for an enemy to be defeated even when the enemy has the advantage of surprise, providing you learn what their natural weaknesses are. By exploiting this feature, it is possible to take down enemies who might otherwise seem unkillable. Based on reports gathered from soldiers from different battle situations, it would seem that the following things tend to be true. Trolls, in general, seem to take more harm when they are attacked with any form of magic, but they likewise are quite resistant to physical harm. When fighting magicians of any stripe, it seems they generally are poor when it comes to hand-to-hand combat, though there are exceptions to this rule. Though wyverns have never to my knowledge been exploited for use in battle, farmers troubled by the red variety have spoken of good results when attacking with blades prepared with an Althaphane's Icer. I highly suggest that in the future you attempt to take notice of similar weaknesses and resistances so you may use your resources to the fullest of advantage. In other words, when we fight enemies on the battlefield, we gotta know what they're weak against and what they're strong against. This one says we want to meet the enemy on a battlefield of our choosing, so we have the element of surprise. Owen scowled. The books arranged before him all concerned theories of finance, a subject which his father had long ago exhaustively bored him with. While he thought he would never again be interested in the subject, he found himself reaching for one of the volumes. This one teaches us that we shouldn't sell jewels at general stores. We should find stores that are selling other jewels to get the best price. This one's useless. Basically, this gives us hints. That's all this room is. Healer's journals. This teaches us that restoratives are useful, especially for those who've suffered near fatal injuries. In other words, if we get that near-death status again, we want to use restoratives. And herbal packs, they offer more beneficial effects, only in so much that they will do more for the injured in question over an extended number of days. Usually, however, my patients have been near death and in need of the more immediate healing effects of restoratives. Here in the corner, the books concern magic. Snatching the closest volume at hand, Owen began scanning the pages, hoping to find a grammar of spells from which she could learn. Flipping pages, he was nearly oblivious of the priest who marched down the aisle and snatched the volume from his hands, politely replacing it from where it had come. "These books are restricted," the priest said sternly. "Long ago, we learned the wisdom of making sure an initiate has some training before embarking on reading our magical themas." "I've had some training," Owen began, but was silenced by a hard look from the priest. "You are more than welcome to visit our other collections, but this is restricted," the priest said, his tone indicative that he would tolerate no argument. "I am sorry." Oh well, so much for that. Let's continue on our way. Actually, one last thing to check. Was there anything in the corner over here? No. Alright, let's continue on our way back out of Sarth. I sure wish we could have gotten some of those spells. Let's go ahead and rest for the night. Alright, back to the road, and we'll continue south. There's a fence there. Something is... looks like Crops or a farm of some kind. A garden was nearby. Wriggling his nose at the smell of fresh fertilizer, Owen pointed out a small cloud of dust that rose off the roadside. Within the cloud, a mushroom-shaped man was hard at work, his hoe rising and dipping over a row of budding pink potato eyes. Flashing his irrepressible smile, Locklear crept up behind the monk. I half jumped out of my robes. Hello there, strangers. I hope we're not disturbing you. No, I was about to leave the garden anyway. Busy hands set the mind to work, you know. On your way to Sarth. Perhaps, Brother Mark of Sarth. Glad to meet you. We don't get many Ilrathi here. Books don't seem to interest the commoners as much as gold or wenching, but we have scholars enough, all going blind from reading worm-eaten books and a dozen boys scribbling away their youth in our vaults. It's an unusual place. I have a friend who visited here once. He told me that you worship the god of knowledge. They do say that, yes, and I suppose after a fashion it is true. If there's a question that can be answered in no other place, your best hope is to look in our vaults. Alright, let's talk to him. We can talk to him about that bad weather we're expecting. So when is the storm going to hit? We're a little concerned about finding a place to stay so we don't get soaked. Storm? It's the first I've heard of such a meteorological disturbance. Brother Giram didn't mention it to me before I left the Abbey this morning. That's strange. We met a gentleman named Rowe who said a storm had been predicted by the brothers at the Abbey. I wonder why he would tell you such a thing. Of course, he has been acting peculiarly since his wife died. Terrible tragedy, and striking at such a time when he had to give up his farm. I really must feel for the poor old soul. Okay, hold on a moment. He told us the storm is coming, and the monks are denying that. He told us we could stay in his barn, and he's lost his farm. He told us his wife would be meeting us there, and she's dead. Something doesn't sit right about this whole story. We better be careful as we continue onwards. What about the vaults? Is it permitted for outsiders to browse the books in the vaults? I'd be interested in looking them over. It's fine with me, but it's Brother Anthony you may have to convince. He doesn't like strangers wandering around down there without supervision. We have a number of rare and valuable books, and it would be the worst kind of tragedy to lose them to a casual browser. I'll warn you, though, you may have difficulty finding what it is you want. Many of the books have never been cataloged, and unless you know very specifically what you're looking for, either by the scribe's name or the title of the work, you might not find anything that will be of any value to you. What about the road southward? Are there any hazards on the road south from here to Krondor? We're in something of a hurry, and I'd hate to run into any unexpected delays. I haven't heard any complaints from the travelers that have been through here in the past few weeks. I don't think the mercenaries that stopped by to speak to Brother Dominic said anything of it. Mercenaries? They're not in Quagian press gangs, are they? Not to my knowledge, no. These lot landed just south of Questersview on a ship called the Foam Spinner. As much as they've been up and down the road, I assume they were in on a shore leave. Were there many of them? Many of them? If you laid them head to foot, I imagine you could walk across the Straits of Darkness without getting your feet wet. It seems one of these Quagian galleys can carry a small village from one place to another. So there's going to be more of those sailors about, like the one we had to fight up near Questersview. Again, we better be careful. What about inns? Do you know of any good inns in this area? I think I might sleep a little better if I could bed down on something other than cold ground tonight. There are a few. You could try Babon's Hostel in Questersview or the old Bywater Inn. If it weren't for my duties here, I'd be half inclined to join you. Some acolyte somewhere has been trying his hand at dream sendings, and I've not had a good night's sleep in weeks. Dream sendings? It's a way to send messages over long distances. Only certain magicians have the talent for it. Whoever it is, they can't be too far away because his images are fairly strong. What do they seem to be trying to say? I'm not certain. The images are too disjointed. Though now I think of it, I thought I had seen your elf friend's face before. Now I know why. His face was in the sendings. Okay. Remember last time we learned about Delicon using mages to send messages south. That's why these enemies have been waiting for us. That's why there's traps set ahead of us. Mages are communicating using magic. They must be doing it through these dream sendings. And they're close. Do you know anything about spellcasting? I know a little of it, although Brother Dominic knows more about it than I. As soon as he finishes his studies on Quagian civil codes, I'm certain he'd be more than happy to sit down and talk to you about it. He should be only another 2 or 3 months at it, I would think. I'm afraid we don't have 2 or 3 months to wait. Why don't we leave the brother alone, nephew? Now, don't discourage the boy from asking questions, or he'll become afraid to question anything. I think I might have some time to teach him a bit about focusing, if you could spare a few sovereigns, say 50. Is that acceptable to everyone? Well, it's a lot of money, but you know what? If we're going to increase our stats, it's always useful to do that, so yes. More than acceptable. Where do we start? Ah, an enthusiastic student. Delightful. This will be a pleasure to teach. Owen blanched. He had been assigned a simple enough task: cast a telekinetic spell to move his satchel closer to him. Instead, his satchel had remained obstinately stationary while hurling Brother Mark backwards into his well-tended crops. Are you all right? Owen gasped. I didn't mean for that to happen. You're still depending on your eyes, Brother Mark sighed, brushing a stalk of corn out of his face as he struggled to his feet. Concentrate. If you ever find yourself in a situation where you can't see what you're affecting, all the spells in the world will be utterly useless to you. Instead of trying to see your target, try to feel it. Now let's try this again. I know you'll learn this eventually. We don't have any more time to waste, Korath said. Why don't you pick up your things and we can get ready to move, Owen? Again on his feet, Brother Mark went to console his downcast pupil, patting him reassuringly on the shoulder. Remember, feel the target. That's the key. Until then, I suggest you stock up on a good supply of Luton's concentrate to get you through your exercises. Oh, we can ask him about spells. Now that I know a little more about spellcasting, perhaps there's a simple spell you could teach me. Owen. Just something simple, so we can defend ourselves in case we run into anyone hostile on the road. I don't know what you imagine is waiting out there for you. But I believe I have just the thing. I'll have to run up to the vaults to search for it, but it's a little spell called Flamecast. Of course, there will be the matter of a fee, say 30 sovereigns? I know precisely where it is if you want me to run to get it, shall I? So Flamecast that cost us 400 gold up at the store I could get for 30? Well, that's a deal. Absolutely yes, thank you. You can be quick about it. I won't be a moment. I'll return as quickly as my little feet can move me. They waited. When at last it seemed the priest was never going to return, he appeared waddling down the hillside, a beribboned parchment missive stuffed beneath one of his arms. Collecting the money owed him from Gorath, he cheerfully handed over the scroll. Seems we at least have a few things to think about. Thank you, Brother Mark. Always a pleasure to help. Come back and visit me again. Perhaps we will. Goodbye. First things first, the party's abilities have increased. Let's take a look at that. Locklear's armor craft has been going up. Owen's casting's up to 74%. And Owen has a spell, Flamecast. I can't wait to use that in combat. Alright, but we have a lot of things to consider here. There are Moradhell casters nearby, sending dream sendings. Also, that guy, his barn, well, that may be too good to be true. There's more going on there than meets the eye. Alright, let's take a look at our surroundings here. There's a road. The road juts to the south and also continues to the east. Let's look what's in this direction. A dead end. Alright, let's go back to the main road. Again, keeping our eyes out for any enemies. We should be coming near to that, hopefully coming near to that barn soon. I think he said there's one more temple. We have to pass the Temple of Sung, and then we should be there. Night's beginning to fall again, so let's go ahead and quickly... There's the temple. Let's take a quick moment to look at this mandala. Now we have this mandala. We only have two that we're aware of. We can go to the Temple of Killian back up here, and we have the Temple of Sung. But the more that we memorize, the more places we'll be able to go. Locklear asked to see the High Priestess. She can't see you. Turning, they noticed another hawkish-looking priest, half hidden in the shadows of the colonnade, his eyes rimmed red. He rubbed vigorously at his face before rising to stand next to his fellow priest. Mariah and I just put her to bed about half an hour ago. She awoke screaming this morning. The two priests exchanged a significant look, but the meaning of it was lost on Locklear. Is she ill? He interrupted. No, the taller priest said with assurance. It is only a symptom of things that have been going on here for a short while. It will pass. You sound very certain, Kellen, the other priest said, angrily. None of us has slept well in weeks. Our healer is so exhausted he may not even bind so much as a finger pricked on a spindle. There's something evil at work here. Bemused, Locklear looked to Kellen. Why would someone be trying to keep you from sleeping? Who could do it? Both priests shrugged. The purpose is beyond us, but we know that whomever is responsible is a magician, and very close by, the shorter priest replied. I've also sensed in his dream settings that he has others with him, soldiers perhaps. I don't actually believe he means to communicate with us, but instead with someone far away. Either way, I don't believe any of us shall have an hour's rest until he is dead, or we've discovered what he wants. Alright, another indication of that dream sending that's going on. We need to find that magician. Alright, there's a road leading off here. Maybe that leads around the mountain. Oh, but we stumbled into a battle that I wasn't ready for. Up, two Quagians. Oh, and you go ahead and rest for a second. Let's take these guys on directly, hand to hand. Oh, did you see Gorath's magical effect on his weapon caused an effect on the enemy? Wonderful. That guy went down very quickly. Let's bring Gorath a little closer in. As you can see, enhancing your weapons with blessings and other effects can be very useful. And he's fleeing. Stop him, Owen! Owen with a killing blow. Poisoned rations and good rations. You always want to be careful that you don't take the bad ones. What is this? This is Fatimore's formula. Infamous by reputation, the notorious strength potion had on several occasions disrupted proceedings at Lancers tournaments. Expressly forbidden because of its unbalancing effects in combat, it still commanded high prices from soldiers looking to advance their positions with employing lords. So it's a strength potion. Alright, and we are not going to take those poisoned rations. That's not anything we want. Again, more poisoned rations, but 10 gold. We'll take that. More swords and armor. Alright, let's take a moment to repair our own armor and weapons. While we're doing this, let's quickly turn on Armor Craft and Weapons Craft Focus. That should give us a little bit faster gains. Give us make it more likely that we're going to gain stat increases from these activities, since we're focusing on them at the expense of other abilities right now. Alright, and lastly, I want to see if Owen's armor needs to be repaired. Nope. Give that back to... Oh, he actually has better armor now, so that's... We'll leave it at that. Great. Gorath's weapons craft ability increased once again. We'll go ahead and turn that back off. He's up to 71%. That's very impressive. Let's quickly rest for the night. And get back to what we were doing, which was we were trying to follow this little road. This little side road. Around the mountain. I was hoping we might find that barn. There it is. There's that barn. So, the barn, owned by a man who doesn't own it, where we'll be greeted by a wife who doesn't exist. Is it just me, or is this a battle? Let's go ahead and save. We don't know what we're going to be finding here. The air rippled, as if the world about them were nothing more than a curtain to be yanked aside. 4 figures warped into existence before their very eyes, all Moradel and all armed. One of the assassins, dressed in finer wear than the 3 who flanked him, bared his teeth as he spoke. Gorath! Loishan Choi Nakai Save Delakan! Bakaal Elethel! Gorath? Locklear glanced questioningly at his companion, watching as the mortal withdrew his own weapon, his black gaze fixed on the others of his kind arrayed before them. Defend yourself, Gorath rasped coldly. No moss trooper this, but a sorcerer. Nago, one of those that are said to have served Delakan before the coming of the 6. He is known as the most powerful magician of my kin. Only we 3, or he and his, will see the next morn. We need to fight for our lives now. Owen, I need you to go this way. And I'm going to go right up in him so he can't cast. Alright, let's see. Let's just start fighting this guy. They keep defending, but he did take damage. I want to get Owen to a position where he can cast. Looks like that enemy's already trying to flee. Oh, he has a shield around him. That's a defensive power. It's a shield that that his friend cast on him to as a protection spell. That one's out of reach. Let's go ahead and just engage this one. Oh my, he cast lightning on Owen. Fine, Owen, get in there and stop him from casting. I can at least get close to him. As long as I stay close to him, he can't cast. He's got... Look at his movement radius, though. He really moves far. This time I'm going to have Locklear move in here to hurt this guy, and Gorath will move in close to keep him from casting. Owen needs to rest. He is not doing very well. He's down. Owen is so hurt he can't move very far. The only thing I can do is just heal. Oh, I think Owen's dead. He's still alive, just barely. He's down to 1 hit point. Luckily, Locklear can move in close enough now to stop him from casting. And Owen can continue healing. Nago's down. We'll keep healing Owen and Locklear. And the final enemy is down. That was a difficult battle. When you're dealing with spellcasters, you really need to control where you are on the battlefield and where they are. Carrying them, staying up close to them, makes a big difference because you can keep them from casting. Let's search these bodies. Some gold. More swords. More swords and armor. We'll always take that. I'm going to hand this to Owen to hold for now. Actually, sorry, Owen. Give that back. I'm going to hand one of the ones hand this sword to Owen that's already been repaired, and this one that's already been repaired. So we can take this and repair it. There we go. First body's all done with. We gain more increases. We'll look at those in a moment. Good rations. I always good with those. Another lamprey. We'll give this armor to... Oh, Locklear doesn't have enough room, it looks like. We'll give this to Owen, if he can carry it. This time Locklear will take the armor. While we're here, we'll repair our own sword. Okay, he's up to 98, 93. I'd like to repair Owen's armor because he got hit quite a bit there. Give that back to Owen and take back this. Okay. Finally, Nago's body. 50 gold. Some sort of rod. And Althaphane's Icer. Frost encrusted the crystalline point of the magician's tool. Insisted the crystalline point of the magician's tool. Faint tendrils of mist trailing its arc as Gorath waved it back and forth. If not for the engraved words on its handle, he might not have guessed its purpose. For magical treatment of a blade. Althaphane the Artificer. So this can grant a blade, basically, ice effect. That's useful. 100% broadsword. We are almost out of room. What about this note? Let's read that note. Not yet convinced he should take the time to read over the missive's contents. Owen studied the yellowing parchment but found nothing particularly outstanding about the ink in which it was printed or the cut of the paper. Let's actually read it. Master, we have placed the false notes concerning an attack to the south of Tanners in the chests that you requested. Providing they gain access to those messages, they should fall most blindingly into your elegant trap. I applaud your stratagems. Fedre. So that's a Mordel strategy of some kind. They're trying to trick, I guess, the kingdom folks. Alright, last thing I'm going to do here, I'm just trying to see if there's any way I could differently organize my stuff to take this armor and weapon with me. We'll get rid of the 74% armor and we'll take the 96 instead. I can give it to Locklear. And then finally, there's a 100% sword. What's the worst sword? Let's get rid of this 57% lamprey. We'll take this 100% because that should fetch a better price. Locklear paused before the large wooden barn. The memories of combat still fresh in his mind, he pushed gently on the door that had slipped into the quiet darkness. Finally convinced it was indeed empty, he came out shaking his head, then motioned for them to leave. Though the circumstances might suggest otherwise, this didn't feel like a chance encounter. This is Rowe's barn. Do you think he had something to do with this attack? I think that bastard farmer set us up. He'd best have been paid well for his betrayal. I'll take my recompense from his hide if I ever cross paths with him again. As we thought, that farmer was not to be trusted. He led us into a trap, but at least we survived. Let's take a brief moment just to see where we are. If we look at the map, we'll see that we're about halfway between Sarth and Krondor. But before we head the rest of the way there, I think we're going to need to take a brief rest. Owen got pretty hurt in that fight, and I think he needs to rest. So maybe we'll head back north to one of those inns, and maybe we'll find that farmer and get a little justice. But we'll deal with that next time. In our next episode, we're resting up and then making our way south the rest of the way to Krondor. I'll see you then.